Great pleasure to welcome Bhagyashree Dengle, who's the Executive Director at Plan, Mathew from the Aga Khan Foundation, Suman Voora from Roundtable India, and Kulwant Singh, who's the Chief Technical Advisor, UN Human Settlements Program, UN Habitat. Thank you all so much for being with us. So, you know, there are funds that are now starting to come in. The government's also getting involved. When it comes to implementation, key question that somebody asks is, if you want to donate money, we want to put money into a good cause, are we sure the money will be spent correctly? What would you say to them?
Absolutely, yes. I mean, if an organization is Plan India implementing, then I can speak for Plan, and absolutely the money will be spent properly, correctly.
And what are the sort of areas? I mean, the ones that we've been talking about, and how do you make sure that all of it is being spent correctly?
Yeah, Plan is a very transparent organization. We are ISO certified, and we are working across 11 states in 2,000 schools. And I'm very proud to really report here that we have in season 2 and 3 have completed already 200 schools. And most of these schools, I mean, I can say almost 100% of these schools, the infrastructure which has been provided through this campaign, which is water, sanitation, toilets, separate toilets for girls and boys, playgrounds, rainwater harvesting facilities, are being maintained by the school management committees and children. Because now there is a mandate by the government, every government school has a school management committee. And as an organization, what we do is we capacitate them, we empower them, and we help them take the ownership and accountability for maintaining facilities.
What is the most critical facility in government school that collapses very regularly?
Collapses, maintenance. I think it's easy to provide infrastructure, but it's very difficult to ensure maintenance, for which it's very important to help people take accountability. In most of the schools where Plan has supported, we have children's parliaments, and it's a very amazing program where children have a prime minister, a water minister, a sanitation minister, and they actually rotate.
And we were just seeing that. Mathew, would you agree with that? And we just saw that example from that school that we'd gone to in Rajasthan, where it's the children who are saying we are taking the responsibility for maintaining it. And if that happens, then all the infrastructure that is being built will last.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that, from our perspective, what you absolutely have to do is get that community ownership and participation. And that means the school management committee. You have to get kids involved in talking about their needs, because that's the only way that those management committees will understand what's necessary. And then you have to work even at the Gram Panchayat level to make sure that these things are maintained. We want kids' voices to be heard in schools. You know, when you talk about inclusive participation, that's really what we're talking about. They may not be doing the maintenance themselves, but they have to have a voice in that process, and that's what we want to promote.
Suman?
Yeah. It's just the same system which we follow as well, because the students take charge to make sure that we maintain, and we have our tables going every now and then to see whether we do maintain, and we have systems in place which Roundtable always follow. So that's how we maintain our schools, which we've almost 5,800 schools we have built so far.
Right. We also do have, SMS schools now overseas. There's a large number of them, something like 80 schools by now in 4 other countries. So any difference in the way the campaign's done here and abroad?
Well, yes, we are working in South Asia in about 5 countries now. That obviously includes Bangladesh, Nepal, Sri Lanka, Bhutan. And very naturally, therefore, the strategy there is very different, which is customized, which is very local. The focus is largely on water sanitation and hygiene, and other elements are really not being highlighted as such. That's the main difference. But they are doing very well in terms of implementation, particularly for the separate toilets for boys and girls.
Right. You know, in school, sports is very important. That's what kids come, and we had some children before you who sing and who want to go to school and play the sport. So supposing if a sports team is doing well in a certain sport and reaches a tournament level, you know, what the school can do or these schools can do to maintain that level, because it's expensive. You know,
equipment in particular is expensive.
Travel, you know, to provide the facilities for them to train is not cheap. So how can the schools provide all these basic facilities.
During the implementation, basically the engagement and involvement not only of the school management, but also of the, sometimes also of the local community is there, so that there is a kind of ownership. And without that ownership, of course, maintenance does become very difficult. And also, certain, I would say that lessons are also in a way given to the children to tell them that this is their property. They have to really ensure that they maintain very well. And I think that ownership actually is now coming, because we realize that, you know, the implementing organizations cannot stay on for a much longer period. Ultimately, it is the school management, school children, communities around, they have to really ensure.
Right. Any last quick words on lessons from abroad that we might want to incorporate here in India?
I think in India, just like anywhere we work in the world, you have to make schools the anchor of promoting hygiene in communities. So schools can really be a kind of place where the whole community comes together, and that's how you get that long-term support for these kinds of initiatives.